All right. Good evening. We're going to be learning Daf Samach Hey tonight, but starting in the middle of Daf Samach Daled Amud Beis, a relatively quick and clean Gemara. We were learning a Mishnah that, again, speaking about some of the limitations that exist for a woman to wear certain garments or certain hair pieces, whatever they are, to wear them out into public on Shabbos or maybe even into private. That's a Machlokas Rishonim in our Mishnah here. But let's focus in now on the two dots here, Samach Daled Amud Beis, a little bit more than halfway down. And the Mishnah is being quoted, B'kavul u'b'pei nachris l'chatzer, that one is allowed to wear a kavul, which was like a little cap that was worn under the hair covering, and pei nachris, and to wear some type of wig. To be clear, this is not like the wigs that many women wear in our community. These were just like kind of like a patch of hair that were woven into a piece of fabric to make a woman's hair look more robust, to look a little bit more thick. So it wasn't a full garb in that way. Otherwise, it would be permissible to wear out in public like our wives wear. And on this, we have a machlokas. Amar Rav. Rav says, "Kol she'asur chachamim l'tzeis bo l'reshus harabim." Anything that's usher to wear out in a reshus harabim, as are these two things, the kavul and the pei nachris. So there's also an isur derabanan extended usher l'tzeis bo l'chatzer, even to wear one into private quarters. Chutz, however, says Rav, with the exceptions of mikavul upei nachris. That's how Rashi understands our Mishnah, that these two things were the exceptions, that we allowed them to be carried, to be worn inside a chatzer, even though they were not allowed to be worn outside in a reshus harabim. Rabbi Anani bar Sasom Mishmed Rabbi Shmuel Amar Hakol Kekavul. Everything is like a kavul. Everything has the same exact din. That doesn't really fit with our Mishnah, and that is what the Gemara is troubled by. Tanan, wait a minute, Rabbi Anani, how can you say what you said tonight? Bekavul ubepei nachris lechatzer. We see in our Mishnah that it's permissible to be worn in a chatzer. So not everything is like a kavul. Only one other thing is like a kavul, and that is the pei nachris. So bishlama the Rab nicha. I could understand our Mishnah works perfectly according to Rab, because our Mishnah says that a kavul and a pei nachris, that those are permissible to be worn in a chatzer. Ela the Rabbi Anani bar Sason kasha. Our Mishnah is a kasha against Rabbi Anani bar Sason, because he says that everything is like a kavul, and that's not what our Mishnah says. So that answers the Gemara, Rabbi Anani bar Sason mishmei deman ka'amar lei. So we answer the Gemara by saying that it's true that Rav has our Mishnah to rely upon, and Rabbi Anani bar Sason has another Tana to rely upon, and that is the Shita of Mishmei Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi, Tana hu upalig, and he was of the opinion that kavul, that the whole Mishnah, all of the dinim of the Mishnah were treated like a kavul, and therefore they were all the same. Masha'en kain, Rav held otherwise. The Rav Maishnahani. Why is it that Rav distinguished with these two, but with the kavul, with the woolen hat that a woman would wear? Why did he distinguish between that and with that and the pei nachris from all the other aspects of the Mishnah? Mar'ula kadesh lo tiskana al ba'ala, to make sure that even on Shabbos, that a woman was able to look attractive for her husband, to put on nice clothes. Kedetanya, as the Brisa says, v'hadava b'nidasa, the pasuk that speaks about the halachos of nida. So Zekanim Harishonim, initially, when the Chachamim understood pshat in this pasuk, they said as follows: Amru shelo tikcho v'lo sifkos v'lo sishkashet b'vigdei tzivonim. That when a woman is b'shas nida, she should not put on makeup, she should not make herself all beautified and wear jewelry, she should not wear colored clothes. Ad sheba Rabbi Akiva v'limed im kein atamiskana al baila. Rabbi Akiva pushed back on the Chachamim Rishonim and said, no, that's not right. A woman is allowed to look beautiful b'shas nida. One doesn't have to worry about anything that may be overly attractive or arousing, because we have a principle in halacha called pas besalo. Pas besalo is a halachic principle and a psychological one as well, that when a husband knows that at some point his wife will go to the mikvah and be available again, so we're not concerned that he's going to violate any isurim in the meantime. So here Rabbi Akiva said that no, a woman has to look nice, be presentable. And our greatest concern is that that if she doesn't look presentable, then her husband may potentially divorce her. What kind of marriage is that? A woman doesn't present well on Shabbos, all of a sudden they're divorced by Sunday. That's ridiculous. Obviously, that's not pshat here. Rabbi Akiva wasn't concerned about that. Rabbi Akiva was concerned about a marriage that was already on the rocks, and this might be the makeh b'patish. That's obviously has to be the case. That's not grounds for divorce. That's how Rabbi Akiva pushed back on the Chachamim. But if that's the case, you said originally the Chachamim Rishonim, that they said pshat in the pasuk was that a woman cannot dress up beautifully on Shabbos. So Rabbi Akiva abstrag that whole thing. That's not how they hold anymore. So the one shot in the pasuk, it says the Gemara that a woman is in her nida status, even if she no longer sees dam, even if a woman is no longer menstruating, she no longer sees dam, she's past the 7-day minimum from day one of seeing blood. Afal pi that she's passed all of those thresholds, but until she goes to the mikvah, she is a nida de oraisa, tashma shamita, with a woman who is not bleeding on the 8th, 9th, and 10th day. So then that's still tashma shamita with a nida de oraisa. You're chayav kares, you're chayav a whole bunch of other things. That's absolutely aser. And this is a big discussion in the Rishonim about whether or not a woman has a mitzvah to go to the mikvah. Do we say that a woman has a mitzvah to go to the mikvah, yes or no? That's a good shaila, and this is one of the Mari Makomos, of course, which seems to indicate not so much that she has to go to the mikvah, but that if she doesn't go to the mikvah, then she's tmeya. Okay, so that's what Rabbi Akiva forces pshat in this pasuk to me. Moving on to a different sugya. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. This is a well-known idea that when we say that that there is an Isser Derabanan of Marasayin, when we say that we're concerned that your behavior will appear to someone else that it looks like it's forbidden, so then that action is going to be Asr Afilu B'Chedrei Chadarim, even when you're by yourself in a closed room, no one else is around. It's Afilu B'Chedrei Chadarim. So the classic example of this that's mentioned in Shulchan Aruch is almond milk. That almond milk, when it's pressed from almonds, looks similar to milk. A lot of us drink almond milk in general. So that looks like milk, but you can't have it with a burger. That doesn't work. So the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch writes that you have to put shkedim, you have to put almonds on the table, or maybe the container that says that it's kosher without the dairy, whatever. You have to show some type of siman that it's in fact. So that halacha would be marasayin and afilu b'chedrei chadarim. So that's the din here was quoted by Rab. That it's usher. So says the Gemara, wait a minute. If that's true, we're right at the bottom of Samach Dalet and we base 3 lines from the bottom. If that's true, then we have a question. Tana, and the Mishnah writes, below bezug afal pisha pakuk, if a person has a bell, and the bell is jammed up with material so that it can't make any bell sounds. So we say that the animal is not allowed to go out with that. What does that imply? It implies like Rav, that you're not allowed to go out because it's marasayin, it looks bad. Says the Gemara, but Tanya Idach, however, we have another brisa. But we have another shita in the Tanoim that says that you are allowed to go out. What does that imply? It implies that there is no marasayin. You're doing something that looks like it's us, or the bell could ring. It looks like you're doing something wrong. So there we see that there's no marasayin. So how do we answer this Gemara? How do we answer this contradiction that we seem to have Tanoim in both camps? Some say that there is a concern of marasayin, and some say that there isn't. Answers the Gemara, you're right. There are 2 streams of thinking here. Tanoihi. It is a machlokes in the Tanoim. What's the machlokes? Titanya, shotchan b'chama, aval lo keneged ha'am. You may lay it out in the sun, but not in front of other people. What does that mean? Take a look at Rashi, Dibur hamaschel shotchan b'chama. Mi shenashru kela b'derech b'mei geshamim. You come home from shul, it was pouring out, and you're head to toe, you're just drenched. So what do? So the Tanakam on the top of Samach Yamid Aleph writes shotchan b'chama. You're allowed to lie it out in the sun. That's not surprising. We already learned earlier in the Maseches that you could cook in direct sunlight. That's not a problem at all. You're allowed to lay it out. However, aval lo keneged ha'am. It shouldn't be done in a public way. So this is not like the Shita of Rav, because this seems to say that b'chedrei chadarim it's mutter. What was Rav trying to say? That when marasayin is asr, it's asr afilu b'chedrei chadarim. Yet here the Gemara says, in the name of the Tanakama here the Gemara says that shotchan b'chama, you are allowed to dry it off in public. You are allowed to dry it off in the sun, just not in public. It has to be in private. What's the dissenting opinion? Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon, Osran. So now we see that in fact there are 2 streams of thought. Lamaisa, we do paskin like the shita of Rav. We paskin that that maris ayin is asur afilu b'chedrei chadar. The Gemara now continues with other things that were mentioned in the Mishnah yesterday. Uva mochshe be'ozna. If someone had some cotton or some type of some type of cloth in their ear, let's say they had an ear infection or they had some type of leakage in their ear, so they were allowed to plug it up. So the Gemara says, "Mochshe be'ozna tani rami bar yechezkel v'husha kosher be'ozna." It has to be tied up in your ear. What does that mean? How do you tie something in your ear? That's not what it means. It doesn't mean you tie it up. It just means that it's in there tight. It's in there firm enough so that we're not concerned that it's going to fall out and that you're going to carry it. Let's say that a person's shoes are uncomfortable, so they take one of those Dr. Scholl air pillows, are you allowed to wear those in your shoes? Are they connected to your shoes? Yes or no? So Moksha Basandula, Tani Rami Bar Cheskel, Husha Kasher Basandula, that has to be tied in. Here, that may well be the case. It may well be the case that if you're in public, that you should not wear the Dr. Scholl, those inserts. That may be problematic because they're not actually tied in. We'd have to look into the sugya, into the poskim, and see how this plays out. Ubemokshe shiskina la lenidasa, a moch, a garment, a cloth of some kind that absorbs dam when a woman is a nida. So what does the Gemara say about that? 6 lines down, Samach Hamad Aleph, Sava Rami Barchama Lamemar, Hushakshur La Ben Yarchoseha, that the pad that she's using has to be affixed in a way that's meaningful and not that it's loose or removable. Amarava Afal Pisha Eno Kasher La. Don't worry, you don't have to move it at all. It's total. You don't have to make sure that it's affixed in a very tight way because it doesn't make a difference. Kevan demais because it's not clean because it's disgusting. So then lo asu la asuya. We're not concerned that someone's therefore going to remove that on Shabbos. We're not worried about that at all. So says the Gemara. Well, if that's the case, a little jump. Let's ask the following question: Ba'amine Rabbi Yirmiyah ame Rabbi Abba asu salah beis yad mahu. Let's say that the moch that a woman is using to absorb menstrual blood has a piece of clothing that one can then use to remove it in a way where her hands won't get dirty. So if that's the case, mahu, amarle mutter. It's mutter. There's no problem at all. It's permissible, even if there's a beis yad, even if there's a way to remove the moch that she's using. Afalpi that there's a way to remove it without her hands getting dirty, it doesn't make a difference. This is not the kind of thing that we're worried about that a person would remove, and therefore it's permissible. It's marnami and yamoraim. We have similar quotations. Amar Rav Nachman bar Oshia, Amar Rav Yochanan, also salah beis yad mutter. Even if the moch that she's using for to collect blood, to collect dam, afalpi that it has a way to be removed in a clean way, it doesn't make a difference. It's mutter. The Gemara here flips without actually indicating that we're flipping here. Rav Yochanan, nafik behu lebei medrasha. He walked into the base medrash with a moch in his ear, like we started out with our sugya today, and everyone said, "What are you doing?" You're all of his chaverim, not his talmidim, but it says chaverav. It is chaverav or chalukin. They said, "Rav Yochanan, how can you do that?" Rav Yanai nafik behu lekarmelis. Rav Yanai was wearing also cotton in his ears. He was wearing some kind of moch in his ear, and he went into a karmelis. Nafik behu lekarmelis vechalukin alav kol doro. Everyone, the whole city. Everyone was, how could you do that? It's completely usher, totally not allowed. So what's going on here? First of all, why was it that in one case the Rishonim, the Ritva picks up on this? The Ritva is bothered by the fact that when it came to Rav Yanai, it was called Doro. When it came to Rav Yochanan, it was only Chaverav. So let's see what the answer is, and then maybe we'll have a little bit of clarity. V'atani, hold on one second. Why is it that we're being upset about what Rav Yochanan and what Rav Yanai did? We have our Mishnah. V'atani, our Mishnah taught us about this, and Rami Bar Yechezkel v'husha kasher lebe'ozna. As long as it's affixed tightly in the ear, there's nothing wrong at all. A person should be able to wear that out as long as it's affixed tightly. That's totally mutter. Says the Gemara, lo kasha had mahadek, had lo mahadek. It depends how tightly it's put in. If it's put in very, very tightly, then it's permissible. That's what Rav Yochanan did. Had lo mahadek, that was more of what was going on with Rav Yanai and why everyone was upset about it, because there is no heter to wear that in your ears, if in fact it is not put in tightly. What about the case with pilpel uvegilgel melach? Pilpel l'reach hapeh, gilgel melach ledor sheni. Pilpel melach is to pilpel. The pepper is l'reach hapeh, to make sure that one's breath is not bad. And the galgal melach, putting in a mound of salt in one's mouth, is ledor sheni. This is really a bit of a play on words. Rashi here points out l'chole hashinayim, ledor shinai, for my teeth. So this is just some type of play on words that basically this is used in a preventative way. So some of the Meforshim are also bothered by the fact that you're not allowed to do refuah on Shabbos. So why are you allowed to do any of this? That's a good question. In particular, by the melach and by the pepper, especially by the melach, because that's for pain. So that's because it's derech machal. So let's say that a person finds that drinking orange juice on Shabbos helps them to get rid of a cold. It doesn't work that fast. I know, just conceptual. Is that allowed on Shabbos? So because drinking orange juice is a normal thing, it's a regular food. So when something is a regular food, that's not where the isser of healing yourself on Shabbos of refuah is triggered. That's perfectly permissible. It's only when you're taking things that are actual medications or herbs, maybe vitamins sometimes can fall into these categories as well. There we have the isser derabanan of refuah, of shema yitachein, that one may inadvertently or accidentally come to the point of grinding something. And that's why the melach here is permissible, because melach is a regular food that people eat, even though people don't normally eat salt in full capacity, like a full spoonful. That's not normal either. But here, because the food is a regular food, so it's permissible. And anything you put in your mouth, says the Gemara, zangibila. Zangibila is ginger. A person has a stomach ache. If you look in some of the medications that people take for their stomach, ginger is a common medication. That's why ginger ale may actually be helpful when someone has a stomach ache. And the Gemara also says inami dartsuna, which is a reference to cinnamon. That's what Rashi writes here, kinamon, that people used to also chew on that. Shein toseves, shein shalzav. What about false teeth? Let's say a person that, now, of course, this is not Stein dentistry. It's not like you get like some surgery and it's implanted into your mouth permanently forever. We're talking about, at most, some type of system that kept the tooth in place for as long as they were in public. So that's what the Gemara is discussing here. Shein toseves, shein shalzav. Says the Gemara, that's a machlokas tanaim. Rabbi matir. Rabbi said it was allowed. We'll see soon in the Gemara why that's the case, because Rabbi was of the opinion that that's not the kind of thing that we're concerned that you'll take out of your mouth to show people. It's not like a normal thing to do. Hey, look, this is not really my tooth. That doesn't happen. So Rabbi was matir in such a case. V'chachamim osrim, they said it's not allowed. Amar Reb Zera lo shanu ella shel zahav. When do we say that? When is there a machlokas bichlal between Reb Meir and the chachamim? That's only when it's made out of gold. However, about the shel kesev divrei hakol mutar. When it's made out of silver, silver is not a standout relative to the color of white teeth, and therefore that's how the Gemara understands what's going on here. And in fact, the Brisa articulates this even more clearly. But with silver, divrei hakol mutar. Tanya nami hachi, 2 lines into the widest line, samach hamid aleph. Tanya nami hachi, the Brisa says b'shel kesev, when it comes to a silver tooth, divrei hakol mutar. Everyone agrees that that's mutar. There's no machlokas Rabbi and the Chachamim in such a case. That's totally fine. Shel zahav, but when it comes to gold, Rabbi matir v'chachamim osrim. That's very clear. Okay, so if one has these teeth, wouldn't apply anyways to the teeth that we have nowadays that are whatever material they're made out of, but they match our teeth so well you can never tell the difference. So this would be a nafkamina for a person who's wearing a retainer. It's not screwed in. It's not affixed in your mouth in a permanent way. It's just a retainer. So when you wear the retainer, well, it depends on the color of the retaining teeth. If those teeth are gold, machlokas Rabbi and the Chachamim. If the teeth are silver or anything closer to the color of teeth, that should be perfectly permissible because that's what the Brisa says here. That divrei hakol mutar when it comes to silver and other colors that are similar. Says the Gemara 3 lines down into the widest lines. Amar Abaye said that the following people: Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, kulhu sfira lahu, dechol midei de migni abe lo asya leachuye. They all have shitas that if something is gross, if something isn't presentable, then we're not concerned about them carrying them on Shabbos. Rabbi Hada Amran, Rabbi already highlighted that even if one has a gold tooth, it's permissible to wear out on Shabbos because it's not the kind of thing that you take out on Shabbos when you're walking around. What was Rabbi Eliezer's shita where he was lenient because people don't do these particular actions? He said, Tanya Rabbi Eliezer poter the kovelet uv'tzluchas shel plaiton. We learned about this already, that if someone has body odor and they're wearing this perfume so that it would waft and try to trump over the smell of their body odor, then that's also, we're not concerned she's going to take that off. If she's wearing that, everybody knows that she's wearing it for a bad reason. So then she's for sure not going to take it off. That was the second case. Reb Shimon ben Elazar, what was his case? Tanya. Anything that's underneath, anything that's on the level of hair, that's a level just closest to hair, so there we're not concerned that someone's going to take it off. Then if it's above that level, let's say that the woman's wearing multiple layers of tichels just to get in multiple colors, then she can take off, that she's not allowed to wear that outer layer. That's limiting because there we are afraid that a woman will take it off because she doesn't need it. Her hair will be otherwise covered, so that would be problematic. That brings us to the Mishnah, 2/3 of the way down. Samachei Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, it says the Mishnah, Yotza besela sha'al hatzinis. One is allowed to go out with a coin that is covering over an injury on one's foot, as we'll see soon. Habanos aktanos, young girls, yotos bechutin. If a young girl had gotten her ears pierced, she's allowed to wear a certain thread that they would keep through the piercing to make sure that the piercing wouldn't close up. Or afilu bekismin, they would take wood chips that were kind of in a pointy way so that they would go in and then they would go into the ear and they could keep that particular girth of the piercing as to how they wanted. All of that was mutter. Rabios yotzos, women, Rashi points out, women who lived in Arabic cultures where they would, and Rashi here points out exactly how they dress. We see this around our community where they cover everything except for their eyes. Rashi says that right here, a ravios. So if you look at Rashi says, it's about 6 lines down into the widest lines. Rashi says, Arabios, Nashim Yisraelios, Shebe Arab. It's women who are Jewish who live in Arab countries. Yotos, Reulos, they can go out Reulos. What's Reulos? Says Rashi, Derech Arabios, Deos Me'utafos Roshan, they would wrap up their whole head, Ufnehem, and their faces, Chutz min ha'inayim, except for their eyes. Okay, so that's what Reulos means, is this garb of Arabic women. So if a woman, there are pictures like this of Iraqi Jews from a long time ago, and that's how they dress. They look very similar, indistinguishable. They dress like the culture. They dress like the culture, and they would. I saw a woman in Jewel like this who was dressing like that, and she actually said, I think I shared the story once. So she turned to me and said, "Shalom Aleichem," and I just didn't. My brain didn't catch it. I just was like looking at her, like, oh, I didn't know she was talking to me. She's like, what? A Jewish woman can't dress like this? And I'm like, oh, no, you can. Aleichem Shalom. And then it clicked afterwards, but. She was dressed like this is our Mishnah, that a woman's allowed to be dressed, yotos, Arabios, yotos, reulos, umadios, Persian women, prufos, the way that their women would dress. They would have overlapping garments, and they were kind of bound together at one side to hold all the garments together. B'chol adam, this applies everywhere. However, Ela shedibru chachamim behoved, the Mishnah was only speaking about that which was common, which was by women who lived in Arab countries and women who lived in Persian countries. Says the Mishnah, Porefes al ha'even ve'al ha'egos ve'al ha'matbe'ah, ubilvad shelo tifrov lechatchila b'Shabbos. This was something we learned when we were kids, when we would make tents in camp. You would take a stone, you'd put it through the garment, and then you tie a string around it to keep it in place. And then you'd take the peg, and that's how you'd make your tent. So that's what they would do with their clothes. They would take their clothes, they'd wrap it around one another, and they'd take a stone and push it through, and then they would tie around it so there'd be a bulge on the outside to make the garment stick. They didn't have buttons like we do. So that's what's going on here in regards to the case of porefes, that they would push something through the multiple layers of garment and tie on the outside to make sure that the garment would stay in place. So it says the Mishnah, porefes al ha'even, you can use a stone, ve'al ha'egos, you can use a nut that would fit, that would be a good shape, ve'al ha'matbe'ah, even a coin. Ubilvad shelo tifrov lechatchila b'Shabbos, but you can't do it lechatchila on Shabbos. Okay, so like, how do you get dressed on Shabbos? You're not allowed lechatchila to do it on Shabbos. That's very strange. So let's see what the Gemara says. We're going to speak about this a little bit later. It says the Gemara, Maitinis, we started out our Mishnah by saying that a woman is allowed to take a coin and put it opposite a tzinis, opposite an injury. It says the Gemara, Bas Ara, on the bottom of her foot toward the ground, that's where she has her injury, and she's allowed to take a coin and put it there. So it says the Gemara, why? Why does she have to use a coin? Coins that's money. Why are we using money on Shabbos? Even for a purpose that's reasonable, go find something else. Says the Gemara, if the reason you're using a coin, anything that's just made out of a hard material, don't use that because it's money. We should not be using money on Shabbos. She should find a piece of pottery that would be a very hard material, and that would work just fine. Ella, it must be mishum shukta, that there's some moisture which is found on the coins, and that's better than the pottery, which is particularly dry. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, go find a regular metal plate, a metal shape that's not currency, and then you avoid any other problems of muksa. Says the Gemara, no, Ella, it must be mishum tzurta. It must be that there was a benefit to the when the coin had an impression on it, that shape that was cutting out was helpful for whatever reason, was helpful to the wound. And if that's the case, la pulsa. What does the word pulsa mean? So that's Rashi all the way at the bottom, 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Pulsa, agul shel eitz v'yitor alav. It was made out of wood, and it was kind of like, maybe by comparison, like a wooden checker of some kind that had an impression in the wood, and that would be appropriate to use for such a wound. Why are we using a coin? So it says the Gemara, it must be Amar Abaye, back in the Gemara, 6 lines from the bottom, Samachem et Aleph, it must be Amar Abaye, Shma Mina, Kulhu Ma'alin La. She needed them for all 3 reasons. She needed them for the metal, and she needed them for the moisture, and she needed it for the impression on the coin, and therefore it was permissible to use on Shabbos. 5 lines from the bottom, Habanos Yotzos Bechutin, we said that women were allowed to go out on Shabbos with chutin, with strings through piercings in their ears, in order to ensure that the piercing wouldn't close up. However, Avuha de Shmuel, when it came to the father of Shmuel, the famous Shmuel of the Amora, lo shavak lehu levinte denafke bechutin. Shmuel's father would not let Shmuel's sisters, these are Shmuel's father's daughters, so his daughters, Shmuel's sisters, were not allowed to go out on Shabbos with these chutin in their ears. And also, velo shavik lehu genian gabe hadade, they were not allowed to sleep next to each other. Ve'avi lehu mikvos b'yomei Nisan, and he would make sure that when they went into the mikvahs in the month of Nisan, by the time of Pesach, he would make their own mikvahs. They couldn't go into rivers. We'll see soon why that's the case. And in Tishrei, he would make sure that they would stand on mats. Maybe it was just muddier and easier to get a chatzit, so they'd have to stand on mats. So let's go through each three of these cases about the chutzin in the ears and why he restricted them from laying next to each other, and from the third case as well. What was the third case? About the mikvahs. So says the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom. Lo shavik v'hu yotzos b'chutin v'ha'anan tnan habanos yotzos b'chutin. Look at our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says it's mutter to be yotzei b'chutin. So why is it that Shmuel's father would not allow his daughters to be yotzei b'chutin? Answers the Gemara, benate de'avua de Shmuel de tziv'onin havu. They had particularly colorful strings in their ears, and he was afraid that maybe they may take them out to show them to their friends, and therefore he said, you're not allowed to. Lo shavik lehu genian gabe hadade. What were the limitations for sleeping next to each other in a bed? Says the Gemara, an uncommon, unknown halacha. Lo shavik lehu genian gabe hadade lema mesai leila Rav Huna. Maybe this follows like the shita of Rav Huna. Rav Huna held that in regards to a Kohen Gadol, we know, of course, that a Kohen Gadol has to marry a basula. But what if a woman had a physical encounter with another woman? If there are two women who are intimate with one another, psulos lekehuna, she's not allowed to marry a Kohen Gadol. So here, Rashi on the top of the page, just a wild din. It's really so interesting. Take a look at Rashi. Psulos lekehuna, lekohen Gadol. Why? Delo havya besula shlema. She's no longer considered to be a besula shlema. Afal pi, that there was no tashma shamita. The afal gav the kohen gadol b'yom lo have. And even though in his times, this is the times of the Amorim, the Churban already took place, there was no kohen gadol. Afal pikein, he restricted his daughters from even sharing a room out of this off concern that there may be some physical contact. Ho'el v'derech zenos, it's not appropriate behavior. Chashiv le lav orach ara, it's not right. So it says the Gemara that maybe Shmuel was following the opinion of Rav Huna, that if nashim are mesolelo zo bezo, if there's any physical contact between them, physical intimacy, then it can lead to a psul for a kohen gadol. Says the Gemara, lo, that's not why he held that way. Savar ki heche delo lilfan gufa nuchra, just that they should not become acclimated. It should not become something that they get used to in a way which can generate arousal, which for a man, Rashi points out, not for a woman. That's what Rashi says. Dibur hamaskal on the second line, delo lilfan gufa nuchra v'yisavu lishkavim ish. Just that the physical closeness can generate a certain amount of desire. So no, it's not like Rav Huna, but rather it is just his own svara that he just didn't want there to be a general interest in intimacy at the wrong time. Someone just asked a question. Hang on. Is it the same halacha as Bia Shalok Kedarka? No, Bia Shalok Kedarka is considered Tashma Shamita as it relates to the Kohen Gadol. For sure, that's a psul. I don't know that this is a psul lidina. I think the Rambam actually paskins that an isha who is misoleles, who is physically intimate with another woman, she is still roi for a kohen gadol. We paskin that way, ladina. But bia shalok kedarka is totally different in this regard. It is considered tashma shamita mamish, for sure. So says the Gemara on where are we now? So we're on the second line on Samech Hamid Base. Says the Gemara, what was the third din that Shmuel's father restricted for his daughters? V'avid lahu mikvah the Yomi Nisan. He made a mikvah for his daughters in the months of Nisan if they had to go to the mikvah. Misayeh le Rav. Maybe this follows like the sheet of Rav. What did Rav say? Amar Rav mitra b'ma'arava. When there was a lot of rain in the Ma'arava in the west in Eretz Yisrael, Sahada Rabba pras. The Euphrates River was its witness. Namely, they could see that there was a swell in the Euphrates River. That's what Rashi here says as well. Mitra b'ma'arava. The next Rashi says, the next line, the fourth line, Sahada Rabba pras. Pras made b'davar shehu yored. May Eretz Yisrael leBavel the Gadol mimeg shamim v'yodim b'nei Bavel sheyadu gshamim b'harei Eretz Yisrael. They saw that there was a surge in water, and when they saw that, usmeichem alacheim. So what was Rava worried about? What was Rav worried about? Savar, he was concerned shelo yirbu hanotfin al hazochlin. He was concerned that maybe rainwater, which does not count for a mikvah standalone, rainwater alone doesn't. So that doesn't work for a mikvah. He was afraid that the volume of rainwater would become so great that it would trump the river water and the mikvah would be problematic. So that's why, says the Gemara, that's why Shmuel's father would build a mikvah for his daughters in the month of Nisan. Upliga de Shmuel. Shmuel did not agree with this at all. Damar Shmuel, Nahara mikipe mivrach. A Nahara, the river, is mikipe, from itself mivrach, is blessed. Namely, it may be that it's influenced by waters from elsewhere, but primarily it has its own source of water. It comes from the ground, like a ma'ayan. It's coming from deep within the earth, and it's not problematic halachically. However, the problem with this sheet of Shmuel is upliga didei adidei, that he has a conflicting statement of his own as it relates to this halacha. What was his second statement? His first statement was that that Shmuel said that water comes from its own. So let's see the second statement of Shmuel. Damar Shmuel, Eina mayim mitarin bezochlin ela pras b'yom tishrei bilvad. This is on the other side. He's way more machmir. The only time the water is permissible is in Tishrei when there's less rainwater, implying that throughout the rest of the year it would be usher. But a line ago, he did not say that. A line ago, he said it's not a problem the way that Rav understood the Gemara. That's okay. The water comes from itself. But the second statement of Shmuel doesn't agree, and the Gemara doesn't answer this question. Leaves it alone. We said at the end of our Mishnah that a woman could be porefes al ha'even, that she could take a stone, push it through 2 layers of garments, and tie around the stone or the egos or a nut or a coin. All of those are permissible. But then right at the end of the Mishnah, it said you shouldn't do it lechatchila on Shabbos. It says the Gemara, V'amris reisha porefes, that you're allowed to do it. One line ago you said it's permissible. Now you're saying it's b'di'evet on Shabbos. How are you going to get dressed Shabbos morning? This is how they hold their clothes together. Amar Abaye seifa asan lematbeya. No, don't misunderstand. The seifa is only to reference a limitation for coins. Namely, we make a distinction. At the end of the Mishnah, we said that a woman can be porefes. She can use this coin to push through 2 layers of clothing and then tie them on the outside to keep the clothing together. And we said that about 3 things. We said it about an even, we said it about an egos, and we said it about a matbeya. So then when the Mishnah comes back and qualifies, it's only qualifying about a matbeya because that's currency and that should be treated as muksa. So that's what the Gemara says here. Seifa, when the Mishnah comes back to be limiting and says that lechatchila you're not allowed, that's only true by matbeya. Ba'e Abaye. Abaye asks the following question. Isha ma'ushe ta'arim v'tifrov al ha'egos lahotzi livna katan b'Shabbos. Let's say that she wants to bring an egos for her kid. Let's say she's going from her house to her friend's house and she's walking through her Rishus HaRabim. She really doesn't need to be porefes for her clothing. Her clothing is fine. Can she push through anyways and bring the egos out so that her kid can have it on Shabbos? She doesn't need it. She doesn't necessarily need it. Is it mutter for her to do what's called ha'arama? So says the Gemara, Tibae lema boy abaye. Sorry, I thought I just skipped something. Boy abaye isha ma'ushe ta'arim v'tifrof al ha'egos lahotzi livna katan b'Shabbos. Is she allowed to kind of use this as a loophole? Tibae leman da'amar ma'arimin. Tibae leman da'amar ein ma'arimin. This applies both according to the Shita that allows for ha'arama, that this loophole can take place, and this question also applies for one who doesn't allow ha'arama. Tibae leman da'amar ma'arimin b'dleika. According to the one who says that you're allowed to use this loophole during a fire, so then hasam only by the fire who the ilo sharis lay asi lechabuye. If we don't allow you to use this loophole, we're afraid that you're going to violate the Isser Doraisa of Mechabe. That you're going to violate one of the 39 malachos. We're only 8 blot away from that famous Mishnah in Ayin Gimel and Periklal Gadol of all of the 39 malachos. And we're going to get into some very halachic sugyas, very short, very halachic, very quick sugyas that speak about the way we live our lives. So one of them is going to be Mechabe. So we say over there, even according to the one who allows ha'arama by a deleka, by a fire, maybe the only reason we allowed it over there was because if we don't allow it over there for you to do the Isser Derabanan of taking something out, so then we're afraid that you're going to violate the Isser of Mechabe. Aval hacha, in a regular case where there's no fire, ilo sharisle, then just lo asila afuket, and she just won't bring it out. Tell her it's usher. She won't carry on Shabbos. It's not the same thing as a fire. So that's one side. Odilma, maybe afilu leman de'amar, maybe even according to the shita that holds ein ma'arim b'dleika, that you're not allowed to be ma'arim, you're not allowed to use a loophole when there is a fire. So then hasam over there by the fire, we say that you're not allowed because derech hotzabekach, because the reason you're carrying, the way you're carrying it out is a regular way to carry it out. That you should not be doing. That's regular derech hotzabekach. However, Abal Hacha, the way that a woman is being porefes, the way that she's tying her clothing in order to bring out the egos for her child, to bring this food or toy for her child to play with. So there, Abal Hacha ein derech hotzabekach. This isn't a normal way that one would carry food for a child. So therefore, maybe Ema Shapir Dami, maybe we should say it's mutter. Answers the Gemara Teku. We don't have an answer to that question. And we'll pause here for tonight, finishing at the bottom of Samech Hamid Beis. Tomorrow night, Amir Tashem Daf Samech Vav. Wishing you all a beautiful night. Have a great night.